Yeah, thank you all again for coming today. We're super excited to have Elfie here with us from Amplify. Absolute genius in the social media space, and I'm sure he's about to tell you a little bit more about himself and back up that claim that I just made. But yeah, really happy to have him here. I'm pumped to be learning a bit in this session as well. So I'm sure everyone's going to take a lot of really interesting nuggets of information away from it. But yeah, Elfie, I'll just sort of throw it over to you and let you introduce yourself, and we can go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Very kind introduction. And yeah, stoked to be here. Everfit's been an awesome partner of our business on pure body side. So I still run a very successful fitness coaching business, and we use Everfit as our fulfillment partner. My business partner, Jake, also uses them with his fulfillment as well. So across the board, we've been massive supporters of the brand. And I feel like as they've grown and developed their product offering, we've loved to like grow alongside that. So we're always looking for partners that are like continuously research and developing their core proposition. And I feel like they've done that all the way through. So it's exciting to be growing with them as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for jumping in today. Today, we're going to be talking about, the 7-figure fitness coach. So a roadmap to $100,000 a month in 2025. And I'd imagine there's a few of us in here who have goals of $100,000 a month, and it's a lot more possible than you guys actually think. And I'm going to break down today how I've managed to achieve this over my time in the space as well. So I think first off, it's just a bit of belief. Like, who here believes that they can get to $100,000 a month in 2025? It's a big number, but I think working towards that and working backwards, particularly when you're using a platform and a premium platform like Everfit, where you can charge those high prices, you can deliver this. It's working backwards and being logical with the numbers. And that's the numbers top of funnel from an organic audience all the way through to your sales strategy. That's great. I can see a few ideas coming through, which is good to hear. So who's here today? And I'd love for you guys to drop in the chat, as I go through and mention this. So firstly, we've probably got our offline PTs, potentially people that want to go online, build an online business, from Bali, Cape Town, all of these remote locations in the world. So drop a chat if anyone's offline, or you could also be online. So there may be a hybrid between the two. And maybe there's some online PTs that are sort of scratching their head a little bit and going, this is harder to grow than I thought it was going to be. And that's common as well. So people that have moved online or are trying to move online. And then lastly, we may have gym owners here. So those are people that want to expand their digital footprint and add in some new revenue flows with an online offering. Cool. So we're getting a lot of hybrid. That's good to see. All online, bit of a combination. That's great. Okay, so now my journey has been this, from starting a social media in September of 2023 to 100,000 followers in 100 days. So I think the question I always pose is, who would like to grow 100,000 followers in 100 days, which hopefully all of us do. But I think something we can all agree on is that building a fitness business and a proper online coaching business is going to be a hell of a lot easier if you get 100,000 trusted supporters cheering you on and supporting your cause and bought into your vision and who you are as a coach. And I think that's really important to remember, is that that's what we're trying to build here, is the base to then go and market to and market our services and provide our solutions to this audience's problems. So before I jump in today, what I just wanted to make sure, just in case anyone needs to drop off, is that there will be an opportunity to book in a one-on-one content strategy call. Now, this is with my team. We run through a few things in this call. As we do profile optimization, so we make sure that your profile is set up in a way that's optimized for growth, but also for lead flow as well. We run you through the pin posts. So these are things like social proof, ensuring that you speak to your client avatar. You've got a clear, unique selling proposition, your USP, and you're really nailing your storytelling of who you are today. So we run you through our USP framework and our unique selling mechanism workshop. Now, this is also a bit of a content audit and strategy. So if anyone does want to book in, you can wait till the end to book in, or there is an opportunity to book in now. I'll let Adam, one of my team members, just drop the link for anyone. If you do need to drop off, feel free to book in as we go. Okay, so who am I? It's me, Alfie Robertson. It's a pleasure to be here today. I run two businesses. One is Pure Body, which is my fitness coaching business. Now, our USP is around long muscle length training. So that's combined with my business partner, Jake. You may know him as Elaster Boy online. It's advanced strength building workouts. We do personalized meal plans to bust through plateaus and permanently get stronger. And our philosophy is about not just looking better, but also feeling better for a longer period of time. Off the back of this, I also launched Amplify. Now, Amplify is the platform that I have built and the community I built of fitness coaches that are looking to follow similar steps to what we've created at Pure Body. So in September of 2023, I started my journey. Now, I started my Instagram account from scratch. I had a small personal following, which was on Alfie Robertson, my main personal account. It was friends, family, all of that, about 2,000 followers. And I decided I'm going to start fresh and I'm going to make a new Instagram account and I'm going to document my 75-day hard journey. When I created that account, 83 people followed from my main account. And I think something that's really important to note as you guys launch your own Instagram accounts, or maybe you're trying to grow your Instagram accounts, is that starting fresh can sometimes be the best thing you can do, both from what I call a social liberation point of view. You don't feel restricted by what your friends and family post when you start hammering out lots and lots of fitness content. But also giving yourself that fresh start means that those 83 people that came along for the journey, they were highly engaged in my content. So it gave them an opportunity to bolster the engagement on my content. Remember, when you post a piece of content, it goes out to 10% of your existing audience. So if you have 2,000 people like I did, it goes to 10%. There's 200 people there and only half of them are actually engaging. It signals to Instagram, this isn't a great piece of content, and it doesn't send it out to the next layer, followers of followers. So your first 10% of your audience are your engagement sort of indicator to Instagram, whether that's a good post or not. What's great about starting a fresh account like I did back in September of 2023 is I know those 80 people are committed and they're bought in and they're ready to see all of my fitness content. So I think why that's really important is that based the engagement level that would come next. So 45 days later, I was at 51,000 followers. And then by 100 days, I had well surpassed 100,000 followers. And I'm going to break down today some of the components that enabled me to do that. Today, I have 1.8 million followers across platforms. These are all the accounts that I am directly involved in and manage. So both my own, heavily involved in my business partners as well, Jake, who's niched into mobility. And we'll talk a little bit later on niching and the power of that. But I think something that's more important than niching, which I'll touch on, is the USP, your unique selling proposition. And everyone on this call today has a unique selling proposition. You can all lean on experiences, expertise, passions that have got you to where you are today. And this is both on a personal level, because remember, coaching, even if it's online, offline, is a very personal interaction. People are paying you one-on-one, and people by people. So they need to know who you are behind your account. And a lot of the times we go out there without a strong USP and we just try and present the end result. We try to hammer people with transformations and we try to promote our coaching methodology, but they haven't got to know you, who you are behind the screen. So having a strong USP is incredibly important, and you all have one. You just need to do some digging to really find out what that is. I also think in fitness, something that needs to be noted is there's your personal USP of who makes you where you are today. And then there's also your fitness journey as well. And you all have had a fitness journey. You've all been introduced to the gym for the first time. You've gone through steps to get to where you are today. You've all gone through a transformation. The more relatable you can be, the more you can speak on that transformation, the more relatable you're going to be to your avatar and to potential clients. So that's something really important to remember. Focus less on the niche and more on the USP, on your unique selling proposition. So in the last 18 months, we've coached over 16,000 clients, thanks to Everfit's support as well. We did this with no prior social media experience. We also did this with no expensive camera equipment or fancy editing software. We used CapCut and our iPhone. We use no paid media. We've only just started tapping into paid media now. Up until then, everything we did was from organic. And we did this with no big team, no fancy network, and no agency behind us. And I realized after this that I was getting pretty good at this marketing and sales thing, my finance and marketing. So I leveraged a lot of that knowledge from other business domains to help support my coaching business. As I realized this, I started helping some friends. So I helped Okan, who's a good friend of mine in New Zealand, launch his social media. Then I helped Medical Miles. Now he was in the medicine space, finishing up his final year of medicine, and is now a fully certified doctor. Then 9 to 5, a friend who was balancing law and wanted to get into the fitness space. So I helped him launch his. Then Sam Cam, another PT who's now got a successful online business. And then Valentina as well, who's building her coaching business. Now, over time, I realized not only could I see these results for myself, but I could also see it for friends. So that's where I launched Amplify. And now we work with thousands of others to help build their organic following and convert and monetize that into a proper online business. We've seen a whole range of results and we've been really blown away with the impact we've had. I think something that's been very gratifying for myself is, although I'm still running Pure Body and hold fitness transformations very close to my heart, seeing the transformation and change that we can make in people's lives through building organic following and growing their coaching business has also been incredibly life-changing. So, first topic I want to speak on, renting versus buying your audience. Now, when I think about spending on ads, I like to think about it as renting. And there's times, and I'm not against renting sometimes, there's times where renting makes sense. But as most sort of real estate laws follow, buying and owning the property is normally the better outcome. When you rent, you have temporary access to that audience. So you're essentially paying Meta for access and more lead flow coming through. Now, we also have a reoccurring expense, which is going to be variable with the amount of lead flow we want. If you want to increase lead flow, you need to increase your spend with Meta. And you have no ownership. Sadly, when that lead flow or when the spending stops, so does that lead flow. And the reason being is that you're essentially paying for additional exposure. Now, I compare this to investing in content, your organic content machine. And I really see that as buying real estate. It's a long-term asset. This is something that you put in today, you do the work, and you invest in the content and the skill of content creation, and you generate a long-term asset that pays dividends into the future. It's equity building. You are building a brand, and a brand over time is incredibly, incredibly powerful. There is a reason why these huge brands, if we think about like the Nikes of the world, invest so much behind their brand because they know that their brand story and their marketing is incredibly important. And it's actually what gives them such a high valuation in the market. Next, it's got the ongoing benefits. When we do move to things like paid strategies, we can leverage our organic following to drive credibility, to drive trust, and we can basically have everything that we've done compound over time. It's one of those assets that continuously keeps on giving, and the organic engine that we can create, it's a skill set. So actually learning the skill of content creation is then incredibly transferable to other parts of our business domain. Because when we think about content creation, it's really telling those stories at scale. And the better we are at telling stories, the better we can convey our messaging and our coaching service. So when we think about these two, it's short-term versus long-term investment. So you've got ad spend, which is like renting. It's going to cost money and it's an ongoing expense. Content creation is like buying. It still has a cost, but it's time and effort. It's the valuable skill set that you're upskilling in. And this is what gives you a compounding asset to work with. Now, this is why most fitness coaches struggle to grow. And these may be relatable for some of you on the call today. So if they are, just feel free to drop them in the chat because I'm always interested to see where people need the most support. So I think first one with content is it can be very overwhelming and people are just not sure where to start or what topics to speak on. Can anyone relate to this, where they're not sure where to start or they're not sure what topics to speak on? Next would be unable to cut through the noise. Okay, I can see plenty of yeses coming through. So yeah, I think ideation and not knowing where to start and not knowing what concepts to come up with can be a really hard thing to tackle when it comes to content creation. And it sort of makes the whole thing feel quite overwhelming, and the amount of like energy that needs to put into it just doesn't feel worth it. Next is unable to cut through the noise. And this is a big one. You know, fitness, it is a saturated market. There is a lot of people in the space, but there is a way to cut through. And I feel like people sometimes struggle to cut through. And it's not that they don't have a USP, it's just that they blend in. Often their content blends into the bigger picture, and they almost just get overwhelmed in a way because they feel like no matter what they put out, it's very hard for them to differentiate themselves. And being able to differentiate yourself in a competitive space like fitness coaching is incredibly important. Next is having no system or structure. So that's sort of arriving going, oh, I need to post today. Like, what am I going to put together? Or I don't know what to post for tomorrow. And sort of just whatever comes out. There's no system, there's no process, and there's no structure behind the content strategy. Paralysis by analysis. Very well said, Evan. Last is a lack of priority. So that's maybe pushing content creation to sort of out of the picture. It's not a priority. My priority is maybe looking after clients, or it's on my just like sales process, and sort of leaving that lack of priority away for content creation and not focusing on that. So I want to touch on why now more than ever is going to be the best time to build. So the fitness industry is booming. I'm sure you've seen it. And there's only a small percentage of coaches that are really building brands that can stand out and convert. So you're in a market that in itself is already booming. And what I love about the fitness industry more than anything else is you're actually delivering a really tangible result. And I'm sure you've all had those experiences working with clients. You're delivering something that is very life-changing. You know, people being able to dedicate, motivate, and apply discipline in the fitness and going to the gym, it transforms and it seeps into all areas of their life. So getting that life-changing result is so gratifying. And what we're seeing is we have an aging population where people are now caring more about their health and spending more on their health, particularly online as well. I think we live in a super unique time where the online space is not only growing so quickly, there's also so much trust in the market as well. So it's never been easier to grow organically, which may be hard to believe, but the way the algorithms are set up, they reward new accounts coming in, and there is such an opportunity to grow if you understand the algorithms and know how to build a proper organic audience. And I've seen this firsthand myself. I literally started in September of 2023, and I'm here now standing in front of you. Next is the fitness industry itself is growing rapidly with an aging population, with people that are more concerned about their health into later years. We have a more affluent market to serve, and we can do that online. And there's disruption. There's many new players entering every day and winning. And we're seeing that more and more coming through Amplify, people that are starting fresh for the first time, or people that have existing followers that existing followings that they're now re-engaging through these strategies. And disruption is common. More and more people want to work with the best coaches possible, and they want to do that online. They're no longer restricted by their geographical location. Why would they just limit themselves to the coaches that are in the gyms down the road for them when they can go online and access a network of experts from all over the world? We're in this unique moment where online coaching and fitness communities are really growing faster than ever. And if you don't start building now, you'll just be playing catch up later. So there's three sections of a successful coaching business. There's marketing, there's sales, and there's fulfillment. And when I think about most coaches, what they are really good at is fulfillment. For the most part, what I've seen is that most coaches actually know how to get the result. They're actually good at their job, which is great. And I hope a lot of the people on the call here are today. They're confident in their ability to deliver a great transformation. The problem they have with is the marketing and sales. And we live in this world, right or wrong, where what we need to do is tell stories at scale, which is your marketing, and your sales really match the solutions to the problems of your prospective clients. And mastering these skills will separate you from 99% of the coaches out there, which is really, really important to remember. It's two skill sets that you need to master. You already have the fulfillment section of your business down. What you need to master is that marketing side and the sales side. So I think what we see, and whether this is right or wrong, but it's definitely true, it's not the best coach that wins, it's the best marketeer. And I'm sure there's some people on here that are incredibly passionate about their fulfillment and know that they deliver a really great service, but it's just not getting the visibility that it deserves. Is there anyone out there that can relate to that? Feeling like they deliver a fantastic coaching service, but just no one's seeing it. There's no exposure to actually get people in the door to experience it. And I think that's one of the most frustrating things you can go through when you know that you deliver a great coaching service and you know that you're more qualified, more in a position to be doing this and have great social proof and results for your clients, but just the sales and the marketing is letting you down. So no matter how good your product is, it's worthless in a way if no one sees it. Now remember, like the worth of that product is going to be subjective on the people that are coming through the door and seeing it. And I think this is one of the most frustrating things to go through as a coach, and something that I've voiced a lot through Amplify and seen people come in and then seeing the transformation and change from being incredibly frustrated because they've nailed the fulfillment and spent a lot of time in the product and really thinking about how to get the best result, but then no one is getting the visibility to actually come in and see it from a marketing and sales perspective. So to be a great marketer, what are the skills that you really need to learn? Now, marketing is really content creation. As I said, telling those stories at scale. First one is going to be ideation. You need to know what to post. And when we think about content, you need to be speaking to your key avatar. So you need to be solving those problems in the content. So ideation is probably one of the most important pillars to nail, because if you aren't talking on relevant subjects for your audience, it's not going to cut through. The biggest thing I see is content creators and coaches, they often create for themselves and they're not solving the problems of their target audience. They're normally thinking about, what do I want to see in a fitness reel? What do I want to see in fitness content? Which are not the same problems that their clients want to see and that the problems that the clients need solving. So the ideation pillar. And remember, if we think about relevance and engagement being two really important components of successful content creators, the relevance to their audience is the first litmus test. That's the first barrier. If a reel is not relevant, you're not going to get past the first 3 seconds. We can worry about the engagement after, but if it's not a relevant topic that connects to your audience, why would they keep watching? So ideation is probably one of the most important things to master. Next is the filming. Now, a lot of us have this belief that we need expensive camera gear, expensive editing software. We need sort of all the highest tech equipment. The reality is we can do the job fantastically with an iPhone. It shoots in 4K. It's, fantastic quality. And the job of filming and the job of editing as well, which is the last component, these are really just being able to tell the stories in a way that's understandable. And I'm sure you've seen plenty of reels out there and plenty of content out there that you're sort of looking at and going, this isn't super high production. It's just a really great idea. It's relevant to the audience, and they've told it in a way which is easy to understand and easy to follow. And that's the reality for a lot of content creation. You've got to remember, with content creation, you're only as good as your last reel. And what I mean by that is, once you turn this organic beast on, it's a daily activity, and you need a system and structure that is going to stop you from burning out. That's going to allow you to create content every day and to find it easy to create content in this process. You need to be able to film it with an iPhone so that you don't have to set up an expensive camera equipment every single time. You need to be able to edit it on easy to use intuitive softwares like CapCut. You don't want to be loading and transferring everything into Premiere Pro and overcomplicating the process. And you need to have an ideation system that has just a bank of ideas that you can pull from. And that's sort of the system that we want to build. With content creation, if you can master ideation, filming, and editing, it makes it such a straightforward process that when I say you need to create a piece of content every day for a year, that doesn't feel like a daunting task. That's far too overwhelming. And that's really what we want to set up, is a system that you can rely on. Now, when we think about selling and the skill set behind that, first, we really need to understand the audience that you're building. If you don't understand the audience, everything else is going to be off because your offer becomes unrelated to that audience. You need to understand what your audience's goals are, and you need to understand what their deepest desires are. We go through a simple selling framework. It's past, present, future, what is the cost of inaction, and then partnership. So when we think about the past, it's what's happened in the past. What have they struggled with? What hasn't worked in the past? Have they worked with other coaches that haven't worked? Have they tried fad diets? Then it's the present. What's happening today? Are these still existing? Like, how long in the past has this been going? That's really important. Is this I want to get in shape, and this has been a 1 week desire, or has this been a 5-year journey that you've been struggling with? And we think about the present and we think about where they are today. Then we move to the future. Where's the goal? Where would they like to be in 12 months from now, in 90 days from now, or 6 months from now? You know, put some time into thinking about this and get them to start moving on this. And then the cost of inaction. If they don't get there in 90 days, if they in a year from now, we're in the same place we are today, what does that cost? And really writing that down and realizing that if they don't go with the coaching service that you offer, it's not benchmarked against zero. It's not $0 versus your $1,500 coaching program, for example. It's actually the cost of inaction, which may be in excess of $1,500. We need to really visualize that and think about what's the cost of inaction physically, mentally, financially, relationship-wise, relationship to self. There's all of these hidden costs which come with not doing something. And the better you can understand your audience, the better you can lay this out. Next is a unique selling mechanism. That's something to separate you and build your offer around. So how do you actually cut through? What is unique about your offering that allows you to compare to all of the other coaches on the platform? And I think great offers these days, they adhere to some higher principle. There's so many great examples of unique selling mechanisms out there. If we think about Ben Patrick with knees over toes, he's created a mechanism around knee recovery. He could have been like every other physio and just prescribed, you know, knee rehab and prehab exercises. But instead, he built the knees over toe philosophy, the ATG, the ass to ground sort of philosophy. That's he sort of built this this mechanism which he can sell around, and people can adhere to a higher principle. We've done the same at Pure Body. When people come in, they adhere to the Pure Body protocol. We put them through a baselining week to adhere to the Pure Body standard. We then rank them against the Pure Body standard at a percentage of body weight and range of motion. They come in and they feel like they're buying into that. Every 12 weeks, we retest the Pure Body standard. And every 12 weeks, they've got another KPI and a benchmark to work towards. That's what's building a proper mechanism to sell against. Next is a system to generate consistent leads. And that system really needs to speak to your marketing. Your organic marketing should be the top of funnel feeder for your sales engine. There should be people coming in that top of funnel. You should be nurturing them with your content. That goes from awareness to consideration. And when you bring them into purchase, they should be ready to buy. They should be bought into the system. They should understand what's unique about your offer. And you should have such a great understanding of them that when you generate those consistent leads, they're easy for you to call. Now, building a successful business in this space, it isn't about luck. It's honestly about stacking these high value skills, and they are learned through repetition. Content creation and sales are learned through repetition. The two biggest barriers for a successful business in this space is firstly a lack of time. I think you start to wear a lot of hats in your business very early on, across fulfillment, across sales, across marketing, and we start to lose ourselves in the business and we don't know where to prioritize. So I think a lack of time across the business and having no structure or system that allows you to allocate that time effectively. Next is the lack of clarity and direction that I see. I think people begin to float in the abyss and they get a little bit stuck in their ways and get a little bit lost, and they lose clarity on the direction of their business as well. Can anyone relate to either a lack of time, feeling like there's not enough hours in a day to work across sales, work across marketing, work across fulfillment, keeping existing clients happy while bringing on new clients, or maybe a lack of clarity as well? Can see a few yeses. Lack of time, lack of clarity. Yeah, so not knowing what's going to work, that's a really good one. Definitely something we see a lot of people struggle with. I think just understanding where to focus and where they should prioritize time. Now, imagine having a system that's going to streamline the time. So we want something that's going to bring in consistent social media growth, income, and clients. I'd like you to think about like how that would change your life. I think one of the biggest ones we see when we can iron this out, when we can streamline these systems, we can clear up the time issue and the lack of clarity. It's no port is favorable with a ship that has no direction. No wind is favorable, rather. No wind is favorable with a ship that has no direction. So if you don't know which way you're pointing, no matter what you're doing, it feels almost effortless because we don't know where to point it. So this is about putting a system that streamlines both your time, but also streamlines that consistent social media growth. So actually building your audience that you can market to. This is sort of why I created Amplify. And I've had a lot of questions about what it looks like inside Amplify and what it looks like working one-on-one. I guess part of the reason of being here today is I've partnered with Everfit to ensure that people within their platform have access to the tools available to you, and ensure that you can leverage some of these tools, because you can all be a great marketer. I promise you, you can all master content creation and you can all master sales. I would assume if you're here today, you've managed to have a successful fitness journey. And I really believe that content creation is very similar to going to the gym and getting in great shape. Firstly, everyone starts from zero. Literally, if you're starting your account, you have to start from zero. Same with the gym. You enter the gym and you're a beginner. And the only way you get better is through those dirty reps. And it's the repetitions on the content creation, and it's the repetitions on your sales as well. And the thing is, you need a structured plan. But a bit like if you're going into the gym, you need a structured workout, same that you would tell your clients. It's the same with content creation. You need to be following a structured plan. We're not progressively overloading per se in content creation, but we are getting better at the skill. And lastly, we need that consistency as well. So we need an accountability system and community to hold us accountable so that we see it through. A bit like in the gym, if you want to get results, you need to stay consistent. Same with content creation. So Amplify came about from two things that I ran. So there was a mini course that I created, which was a do-it-yourself where people could pick it up. It was sort of everything I'd learned from content creation, growing 100,000 followers in 100 days. There was 1,500 people that went through that and had great success with it. I got very positive feedback. I then took on 102 one-on-one clients, and we saw some crazy growth and monetization. And what I wanted to do that, although it was an incredibly stressful period, I got to understand what the real pains were of content creation, what people actually struggled with to grow organically, and where they struggled in their business as well to convert those organic followers into sales. So going from followers to leads to clients. That became Amplify, which for me is still the ultimate solution and something that I continuously work on. Now, inside Amplify, we have thousands of coaches that are working together to build successful fitness businesses. We work with people to get their first 10,000 followers, their first 10,000 months, all the way to their first 100,000 months. I run 2 Q&As in this. So there's a content Q&A and then there's a sales Q&A as well. We then have many breakout rooms and we have a very tight-knit community in here where there is a step-by-step process in terms of the resources and guides that I provide. And with each step of the way, there's accountability in the community as well. So everyone posts inside and I audit all of the content that goes out, all the content plans. On top of that, all of the sales frameworks, things like building your unique mechanism as well. We've seen some pretty crazy results over the time in here, people hitting their first $10,000 a month, all the way from even getting their first 10,000 views all the way up to 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers. We've seen some crazy results over the time in Amplify. And what we want to offer is a free content strategy call. So in this call, we'll go through your profile today. We run it against our checklist and make sure it's optimized for lead flow and also for growth as well. This is free, no obligation. Please book in with the team. They are the best at what they do in the space. They are all trained in social media. A lot of them have large personal brands as well, and they've built an organic following. We'll also look at your pin post. We want to make sure that you have a social proof, something that talks on your client win, something that talks on your fulfillment and your ability to do the job. We want to make sure you're speaking to your client avatar as well. So that's who your coaching is for. And then we want to have something on your USP. So a great storytelling piece about who you are today. And there's one thing you can take away from this. I'd want you all to have these pin posts today. These are really important. And you can look at Train Pure Body, which is my pure training account. And you can see the pin posts that I have in there. There's a social proof, client avatar, and a bit about our story and our framework. Next, we're going to be looking at your USP and really diving into what makes you unique, your expertise, your passion, your coaching style as well. Lastly, is going to be a unique selling mechanism workshop. So this is where we basically step you through what is your unique selling mechanism. This is tightly linked to your USP. If you don't have a unique selling proposition for yourself, it's very hard to cut through in a saturated market. That is what we can lean on to build your unique selling mechanism. And I trust me, you all have something unique. There's something unique about you and something unique about the coaching service you offer. You probably already know what it is, but I don't think you're doing a very good job of marketing it and cutting in. Lastly, we do some content audits and strategy on this call. It's a lot to cover in a 15-minute call, but I would say this is a really important thing to book in. I'll drop the link here. I'll get Adam to drop the link. So please do book in because this is a great opportunity to go through and have a proper social media expert look at your content and understand what's working well today and then what you need to do in the future as well. There's a link in the chat, so I'll let you guys book that one in. As I said, these are the things, so please go ahead and book it in. Profile optimization checklist, pin post templates. These are the templates that I use and recommend to help explain your coaching offer to your audience. You've got a USP framework in there, the unique selling mechanism workshop, and then a content audit and a strategy roadmap going forward. Awesome. While you guys book in, I'm going to leave this open to a Q&A. So please feel free to drop a bunch of Q&As. Can be content related, sales related, can be Amplify related. Would love to touch base on those. Just as a little added bonus as well, part of this webinar, working closely with Rob and the team at Everfit to bring a mini course that's going to sit in the resource library. So we'll be keeping you all in the loop with that as well. But this is a shared effort to try and make coaching more achievable, particularly those $100,000 months, but also building an organic following. Because I truly believe every coach out there, particularly every coach on this call who showed up and made that first step and commitment towards it, you can build an organic following. If you can get in great shape, you can build an organic following because the principles are the same. It's about a structured plan to get there. It's about consistency. And it's also about accepting that it's a hard skill and you start from zero. Everyone starts as a beginner. First time you enter the gym, first time you post your first post, it's the same mentality. You just need to develop and do the dirty repetitions to get there.
Awesome. Thanks, Elfie. That was really good. I know I took a lot away, but I love the point just while a few questions flowed in. But what you even mentioned earlier about starting fresh and getting that freedom of not kind of feeling worried about what your friends and family are going to view your posts and stuff makes a ton of sense. So I definitely think that's something that holds a lot of people back. So yeah, really cool. And then yeah, just wanted to just follow up a little bit on what Alfie said in regards to that mini course. So yeah, we're going to work with him to kind of create like an Everfit specific or like the mini course that he's run in the past, but make it more specific to the Everfit audience, to you guys as well. So we're working hard behind the scenes on getting that set up for you. So definitely keep an eye out for any updates regarding that. But looks like some questions are popping through, Elfie. So I'll kind of just throw it over to you and let you handle those.
Yeah, awesome. Jennifer, I separated my personal page to a business page and have not tried to gain followers yet. Is there a way to build this page going to personal contacts from that without going to personal contacts from that page? There's no way to like completely hide the page, but I would say just post on that new page. So I would treat the business page, and I think having a fresh start, I can see a lot of questions around that fresh start. I think having a fresh start is really important. And I've spoken on why the social liberation, just because I think we all want to shed a little bit of, fear of what our friends think, what our family. No one looks cool or great standing in front of a camera with 100 followers. I've been there. Literally in September, started fresh. I remember filming myself in this outside section of the gym, feeling like a bit of an idiot, setting up my tripod. Like, it's all part of the journey. Sadly, we can't just bypass that and be on 10,000 followers and feel great about ourselves talking to a camera. Even though I feel like talking to a camera in public, even now, I still feel there is some it's a developing process. But I think with the business page, I would be focused on growing that and building that. Look, there is some potential that people from your personal life may see it and come across it. But at the end of the day, like, by definition, if you're successful at it, that means that you're trying to grow the page. So if they're seeing it, it's probably a positive. It means the page is growing and going to lookalike audiences. So there's no like perfect way to separate it out. But I would say starting on a fresh page has so many benefits, just from a feeling of judgment, but also from the algorithm's perspective. What I find is when people post on that personal page, friends, family, they may love you for who you are, but they probably don't want to be hit with a fitness post every single day for the rest of their life. So having that separation allows you to increase the engagement early on, which Instagram doesn't look at it as like, oh, you've got 1,000 followers versus 100. It looks at it on a percentage of engagement. So it's better to have 10 loyal super fans than 100 mediocre not fans, if that makes sense. Cool. Is it essential fresh account? Just touched on that. I have no creativity when it comes to content. Also, don't really know where to create it. Not the most confident to film in the gym. Okay, I think creativity and content creation, like, you're already solving the core problems for your clients. You do this every day when you show up on your onboarding calls, on your sales calls, on your weekly connects with clients. Like, you already know the main problem sets that are out there. People want to lose weight. They want to build muscle. They're asking questions like, can I build muscle and lose fat? All of these questions that you've heard so many times. They want to know, what are macros, calories, like, how does that work? What are calories in, calories out? Like, should I count my calories? Should I not count my calories? Should I eat past 8 p.m.? Should I not? Like, you've heard all the questions because you've had them as clients. Content creation is taking those ideas and those questions, which you already know are relevant to your audience, because if they're asking you on a weekly check-in or on an onboarding, it's going to be relevant for them. And it's just answering them in a way that's concise, but you're telling that story at scale. Content creation gets misconstrued for like fancy video, cinematographic sort of editing styles, when in reality, content creation could be picking up your phone and just filming a response in a concise manner and then posting that. If that's your beginning content strategy, I would rather you do that, because you can stick with that every single day to start with. And then as you get more confident with that, you may add some music in the background. Then you may add captions on top. Then you may come up with better hooks. And then you may start see what's performing well from that talking head content. And you realize that when you plan ahead a bit and script, or if you put something that's a little bit more like hook heavy, which is just something that like brings the audience in, but like a great cover for a book, that it performs better. But until you start iterating and trying different content methods, it's very hard to get better at the skill. You can come to hundreds of webinars, you can watch hundreds of YouTubes, you can read books on it, but you're never going to really develop the skill until you go out there and put it into practice. So that's where I'd say there's always a way to create content that's incredibly sustainable for you. And that may just start with talking head, or it may be, I'm sure you've all seen where the music builds up and then it goes read in the caption. That type of content works as well, because there's so many people on Instagram. There's like 2 billion people on here. The reason why read in the caption works is because you have so many people that are coming from X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and they're coming onto the platform and they actually read the captions. They're not visual learners. They spend a lot of time in the caption. So that's a viable strategy as well. You just need to build something that's realistic and sustainable for you to get started. And once the wheels are rolling, you'll start to get that initial feedback. And as you get initial feedback and you lean into some areas, you're going to get it, and you get it in real time. That's a great part about social media. We get immediate feedback loops. You post today, tomorrow, you know if it resonated or not. And then the day after that, you can keep checking in on it and seeing how it performs. No creativity. I'm in finance, trying to break away from Wall Street, and didn't really want to put myself in front of clients and old coworkers. Yeah, so my background was finance marketing. I think similar story. I probably didn't start content for a long time because I was worried what other people thought of me. I started with a 75-day hard challenge, which I thought was a clever way to do it, because I committed to posting every day as part of the 75-day hard challenge. Also meant that I was doing 2 pretty grueling workouts every single day. So plenty of content. I was dialed in from a self-improvement perspective. So it was a cool thing to document. I think also having that meant that, oh no, I'm documenting for accountability. It sort of pushed some of the emphasis away from, oh no, I'm documenting this so I can blow up as a influencer or like a fitness coach or whatever it was. It was sort of, I could push some of the earnest onto, oh no, it's for my own accountability. And if people follow along on the journey, they follow along. So I think having something that you can base it around can be really useful. I think also just accepting that, you know, I'm sure if you follow Alex Hormozi, you've heard it, like, we're all going to die anyway in 100 years and no one's going to remember us. Like, don't let people like your clients and old coworkers hold you back. I think if there is like a obligation with your workplace, then again, start that fresh account. I feel like it's pretty rare that, or by definition, if it is successful and your clients and old coworkers see it, you must have accumulated some level of success. Good thing about content creation, if you completely miserable fail, by definition, not many people are going to see it. So not many people see you fail, which is a nice way to think about it in a way. Agreed, but how do random people want to start following you? I think what you realize is, just by being here, you've separated yourself from a lot of other people in the world. And I don't mean this in like an arrogant way. I just mean this, that there's people out there that they don't want to create content, and they never will. They're quite happily following other people, and the vast majority of people are in life. And then I think there's also people that, you know what, they actually think, they look around and they go, I think I could do that, or I actually think I'd be pretty good at that, and I actually want to have a voice in the space, and I think I deserve to have a voice. And I think that is what separates you in the beginning. And there's far more people that want to follow other people and just follow, and that's fine, than want to create. So by definition, that you put yourself in a minority by creating content. And in my perspective, I would far rather create content than consume it. So I think when you see random people want to start following you, they want to follow people anyway. You're just putting yourself in front of them and positioning yourself in a way that connects with them. And you all have, as I've said many times on this call, you all have something unique about you. You have experience and life experience that has gotten you to this point. And probably the same reason why you want to start creating content is closely connected to why you will be someone that will be followed, because it leans on your USP. And I think the more you can lean into that and understand why there is a desire to create and connect and present yourself online, is leaning into that USP of what's unique about your experience up until this point. What if there are 2 business partners wanting to grow, but using the same Instagram page to grow both our and personal brand? My recommendation is, depending on what the business, so if you have a fitness business, and I see this quite a lot, people go out the gate and they want to create, like, what's an example? It's like the alpha body blueprint, let's just say. So they want to create the alpha body blueprint, and that's like the business name, and it's about getting the alpha body. My recommendation, it's far easier to build your own personal brand. People buy people. So I would say leverage that you've got 2 people, both grow your personal brand, a bit like Jake and I did. He created his account, I created mine. We grew our own personal brands, and then we came together to build Pure Body. The reason being is it's a lot harder to explain to people, this is what Alpha Body is all about, and get them to buy into that. And then be like, this is why we're the people to stand behind Alpha Body, and get them to buy into you. You're just diluting your messaging because you have to explain 2 different brands at the same time. Whereas if you had built your personal brand and they start to get you and people, it's far easier for people to understand people, because we naturally understand and categorize people every single day, than it is to understand a business or a brand. That's why businesses and brands have to pay so much, and often they pay other people to represent their brand. Think about Nike. Think how many athletes they pay. It's because it's far easier for us to connect with a LeBron James and what he's all about, and what he stands for, and his grit and his determination, his excellence, and being who he is as an athlete, than it is to understand like a shoe. And that's like the Nike component. So I think brands do this all the time, but in the same vein, you should build your personal brands, and emphasize the importance of who you are and leaning on your USP, and get people to buy into you, and then use that to launch your business. I have 13,000 followers on Instagram and 10,000 on TikTok, and Facebook only 1,000. Do you prefer? Yes, my preferred platform is Instagram. Reason being, TikTok, I think I still post on TikTok, but in terms of like in terms of quality of lead flow that comes from TikTok, pretty poor compared to Instagram. I'd say for me personally, Instagram's really good. I have heard Facebook is good as well. I just don't have a huge following on Facebook. I tend to think if you're going to build the piece of content, the idea, and you spend the time creating it, post across every platform. Like, why wouldn't you? There's no downside. But I'd say Instagram's best for lead flow. I'm so sorry. Did you say yes to having 2 separate accounts, one personal and one business? My dog was being crazy. I said you should separate them. So create a business account. I recommend separating that from your personal account. I think it's good to have your friends, family in one place, but they're not always going to be the biggest supporters of your journey, because you're going to be hitting them, and you also want to feel like you're not annoying anyone. Start a fresh account helps with the algorithm as well, because your engagement will be higher as a percentage. I have a page I was using but need to get it started again. Do I just leave my old post? I missed the first again. Yeah, you can leave your old posts. That's not a problem. I recommend leaving them. That's fine. Choose for clarity, principles, strategies can also be used to scale another business. Yes, correct. Principles and strategies. Inside Amplify, we help both fitness coaches and people launch a personal brand, things like entrepreneurs, founders, people that just want to build personal brands for hiring or for other opportunities as well. So strategies and principles stay the same. The difference, I guess, for Amplify is we also help people monetize as well. So as they scale their organic following, we help them drive lead flow and build the coaching business off the back of that. Do you post every day? I post every 4 days. Is that enough? I do post every day. It's not a perfect science, but I'd say the more you can post, typically, the more reach, the more engagement you're going to get. 4 days is okay, but I would be pushing and saying, why can't you post an extra 3 days? Like what's lacking in your system or structure that's stopping you from posting an extra 3 days? I'm nearly 40 and got no 6-pack. It has motivated me to sort out my own fitness and document that for now. I love it. I think that's a great takeaway from this webinar. I think also something that's super important for people that feel like, but only the successful coaches are in crazy shape, is the reality is documenting your life. People love to watch people transform. They love to go on a journey. So that's where I think document your journey as you go. You're never going to regret filming something, because when you make that transformation, it's always amazing to look back on for personal gratification, but also in a content creation perspective. You don't need to be an expert in the space. Otherwise, only Olympians would be the ones who are coaches online. You just need to be a couple steps ahead of the person that you're coaching. And I think it's really important to remember. Content creation is the same. We buy into people's journey. We buy into who they are in a person. And because they are vulnerable and relatable, because they're not the finished product, they're not the polished good, it's very raw and authentic, and we connect with that journey. Do you post or IG story? Instagram stories, one of the biggest mistakes I see coaches make all the time is hammering Instagram stories of like smoothies, breakfast, all of that stuff. Like, you're just going to tank your story views. Post one per day and remind people that you have a coaching service. You have a valuable service that provides solutions to their problems. Elicit the pain point, whether they're struggling to lose weight, struggling to build muscle, whether they're struggling to stay consistent, and then deliver your solution, which is your coaching service. When you start posting loads and loads of stories, you just blend in with everyone else. Think about if I follow all my friends and family and a couple coaches, and I see like smoothie, cute dog, beach, that, and then I see your coaching service, I don't actually mind that you post that every single day just once, because every other story frame that it's going to be put next to is all the life and the life stuff that I don't really care about. So putting it there, reminding people that you're a coach, you get way more views if you just do one story. Thoughts on converting followers into clients? Attracting followers is easy for me, just really wanting to convert them. Treasure. People are going to be coming after your content strategies. That's great. That followers, that's the first step. If you can attract followers, you can definitely get clients as well. And that's something we focus a lot in Amplify. You need to really understand your audience. As I said, biggest mistake I see is people just build an offer because they think that's what people want, or maybe they've come from offline and the problems they solve for their offline clients are going to be quite different from that online. Online, you may attract a completely different avatar. So you need to really discover who's in your audience. I would be polling your audience, asking them what they struggle with, give them a couple options. I would be asking what their goals are. And then I would be getting on discovery calls, which could turn into sales calls, but I would essentially be trying to get it as many calls as possible with your audience. Instagram DMs is also a great place to nurture people, but the goal there is to get on as many sales calls as possible. More sales calls you have, more revenue you'll bring into your business, as a rule of thumb. Chillers, I tried randomly other day, a sprint session videoed. Don't know why, but it was the most views I got in a while. This is a great example of why posting every single day and almost forcing yourself in a way to like be creative and create content can be really valuable, because you don't know which content always is going to perform very well. We can optimize it, but posting every day keeps us consistent and allows us to put something in front of your audience. For example, that sprint session, and you wouldn't have known if you didn't go and make the effort to film it and post it. Okay, I'm gonna try to go through most of these. There's a few here. I've got 20K followers, but a lot of that from healthy recipes. Should I start a new account that's specific for coaching? Nutrition is a huge part of coaching. Angle in. Everfit has some amazing nutrition, healthy recipes, delivery for fulfillment. So like angle in with nutrition. And then once you get them in the door with that, layer in on top. Oh, so if you're like sorting out your eating, surely we can move to, or it'd be great to understand if you have a structured workout that you follow, add in that. And it's just a value add on top. You sort of want to determine, maybe part of your USP is that you're a great cook, and that you have these fantastic healthy recipes that people love. So angle in with the nutrition angle of healthy recipes, and then serve them up the other aspects of coaching as well.
Awesome. I just wanted to jump in. I know there's a fair few more questions in the chat, but we have hit time. So what I'd say, if you didn't get your question answered, reach out to Elfie or his team. He's got multiple Instagram accounts. Get in contact with them. Jump in and book one of those demo calls as well, and again, leverage the amazing knowledge that he and his team have. But yeah, just wanted to once again thank you for jumping in, Elfie. This has been super helpful. Hopefully everyone here learned quite a lot. And the only other thing I'll say as well is definitely, keep an eye out for updates around that mini course that we're going to be putting on Everfit Academy in the near future as well. So that'll obviously go through a little bit more of the how-to of the strategies and things that we covered as well. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thanks again, Elfie. It was amazing to have you on. Really appreciate your time. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
No problem. Thank you, Rob. And yeah, as I said, please book a call, and I can try and field some more questions, or my team can as well. They have all the knowledge that I have as well. I've trained them up, and they're pretty much specialize in this space. So please book in.
All right, perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, team.